What would you do if someone slapped you in public, assuming you were nobody important, but you secretly owned everything they held dear? Have you ever walked into a store and felt eyes following you? Have you been treated differently because of how you look? Maybe someone questioned whether you belonged there, whether you could afford what you were buying. Today's story will shake you. It's about power hiding in plain sight. It's about assumptions that cost everything. And it's about justice served in the most unexpected way. This isn't just about one slap. This is about respect, dignity, and what happens when someone mistakes quiet strength for weakness. By the end of this story, you'll see how one moment of violence became the spark that changed an entire company forever. If this story already has you hooked, hit that like button now. Trust me, you'll want to see how this unfolds. Meet Zara Washington. She's 34 years old and worth $3 billion. But today, she's dressed in simple jeans and a plain jacket, walking through the luxury section of Luxe department store. No bodyguards, no fancy jewelry, just her, quietly observing how her newest business investment treats its customers. Because 3 weeks ago, Zara bought this entire retail chain. The managers don't know. The staff don't know. Even the security guards have no idea who really signs their paychecks now. Then there's Brad Mitchell. He's 45, been managing this flagship store for 8 years. He climbed to his position by being tough, aggressive, and making snap judgments about people. Today, he's about to make the biggest mistake of his career. The stage is set inside this gleaming department store, where designer handbags cost more than most people's cars, and where assumptions about who belongs can destroy lives in seconds. But what Brad doesn't know is that he's about to assault his own boss. Zara moves slowly through the store's main floor, her trained eyes catching everything. She stops at a display of designer scarves, each one costing $800. Her fingers trace the silk fabric while her mind processes what she sees. 3 months of planning led to this moment, she thinks. Washington Capital Holdings purchased Luxe department store through 4 different shell companies. The board has no idea who really bought them out. Perfect. She chose today deliberately. Friday afternoon, peak shopping hours. She wanted to see how staff treat customers when pressure is high. So far, she's watched 3 sales associates ignore an elderly black woman asking for help. She's seen security follow 2 young Latino men through electronics. Her heart grows heavy, but her resolve strengthens. This is exactly why I bought this company, Zara reflects. Retail shouldn't be a battleground where your skin color determines your treatment. Across the floor, Brad Mitchell stands behind the customer service counter, jaw clenched tight. His computer screen shows this month's sales numbers in angry red, down 12% from last quarter. Corporate called twice this week asking for explanations he doesn't have. Brad spots Zara examining the luxury handbags. Something about her bothers him immediately. She's young, black, and touching merchandise worth thousands of dollars. Her clothes look ordinary. Nothing screams money to him. His internal alarm system starts ringing. Here we go again, Brad thinks. Another window shopper with no intention of buying anything. He's built his career on reading people fast. Rich customers dress a certain way, carry themselves differently. This woman doesn't fit his profile. In his mind, she's probably recording prices to buy knockoffs online later. The store bustles around them. Security cameras track every movement from corners and ceiling mounts. Well-dressed shoppers browse through departments, their heels clicking against polished marble floors. Sales associates glide between displays, helping customers who look worthy of their attention. Zara picks up a $3,000 purse, turning it over in her hands. She's genuinely interested. Her assistant mentioned this designer in last week's fashion report. But she notices how the department's energy shifts. Conversations quiet slightly. Staff members exchange glances. Brad calls over Marcus, the security guard. Keep an eye on section 4, he says quietly. Something doesn't feel right. Marcus, a 28-year-old former college athlete, nods without question. He's learned not to challenge Brad's instincts. His job depends on following orders, not asking why certain customers get watched more closely than others. The tension builds like a storm gathering strength. Other shoppers sense the shift. An older white woman clutches her purse tighter when passing Zara. A young couple whispers while pointing in her direction. The staff's behavior creates an uncomfortable atmosphere that spreads through the entire floor. Zara feels every stare, every whispered comment. She's experienced this treatment her entire life, in restaurants, hotels, airports, boardrooms. Being successful hasn't protected her from suspicious looks or assumptions about her worthiness. But today feels different. Today, she has the power to change things. She moves toward the jewelry counter, where diamond necklaces sparkle under bright lights. Each piece costs more than most people's annual salary. Brad watches her approach, his hands curling into fists. No way she can afford anything in that case, he decides. Time to handle this before she tries something stupid. The store's atmosphere grows thick with unspoken judgment. Customers continue shopping, but many steal glances at the unfolding drama. Some pull out phones, sensing something significant is about to happen. Zara examines a $15,000 tennis bracelet, completely unaware that her every movement is being analyzed, judged, and misinterpreted by the man who's about to make the worst decision of his professional life. Drop a comment if you've ever been followed in a store. Let's talk about these experiences. Your stories matter. Brad straightens his tie and walks across the marble floor with purpose. His footsteps echo in the sudden quiet that follows him. Zara continues examining the tennis bracelet, holding it up to catch the light. "Excuse me, miss." Brad's voice cuts through the store's soft background music. "I need to ask you a few questions." Zara looks up, her expression calm but alert. "Of course. How can I help you? What are your intentions here today?" Brad crosses his arms, positioning himself between Zara and the jewelry case. "Are you planning to make a purchase?" The question hangs in the air like a challenge. Nearby shoppers slow their movements, sensing conflict brewing. A mother pulls her teenage daughter closer. An elderly man stops pretending to read price tags. "I'm browsing," Zara replies evenly. "Just like everyone else here." Browsing expensive items requires serious intent to buy, Brad says, his voice growing louder. "I'm going to need to see some proof you can afford what you're handling." Zara's eyebrows raise slightly. "Proof?" "Credit cards, bank statements, something that shows you're a legitimate customer." Brad snaps his fingers at Marcus. "Security, please come over here." Marcus approaches reluctantly, uncomfortable with the public scene developing. Other customers stop shopping entirely now. Phones start emerging from purses and pockets. "Sir, I don't think this is necessary," Marcus whispers to Brad. "I'll decide what's necessary," Brad snaps back. He turns to Zara. "Ma'am, I need to see identification and proof of funds." "Now." Zara sets the bracelet down gently. "You're asking me to prove I can shop here because people like you come in here wasting our time, handling merchandise you can't buy, taking up space that paying customers need." Brad's voice carries across the entire floor now. "I've been managing this store for 8 years. I know who belongs here." A gasp ripples through the growing crowd. Someone whispers, "Did he just say people like you?" Zara's hands remain steady, but her voice sharpens. "What exactly do you mean by people like me?" "You know exactly what I mean." Brad steps closer, invading her personal space. "I'm calling this what it is, theft prevention." "I haven't stolen anything," Zara says firmly. "I haven't even attempted to purchase anything yet." Yet being the key word. Brad motions for Marcus to move closer. "Empty your purse. Show me what you've taken." The crowd grows larger. A teenager holds up her phone, live streaming to Instagram. Her voice carries over the tension. Y'all, this manager is totally profiling this lady right now. Zara's calm begins to crack, but she maintains her composure. I'm not emptying anything. I haven't done anything wrong. Refusing to cooperate confirms my suspicions. Brad reaches toward her purse. If you won't show me voluntarily, don't touch me. Zara steps back, but Brad follows. Ma'am, you need to comply with store security protocols. Brad grabs her wrist, his fingers digging into her skin. Stop resisting, and this will go easier. Let go of me right now. Zara tries to pull away, but Brad tightens his grip. The crowd presses closer. Voices rise in protest. He can't grab her like that, someone shouts. Another person yells, this is assault. Brad's face reddens with frustration and embarrassment. The situation has gotten away from him, but he doubles down instead of backing away. You're causing a disturbance. Security protocols require I said let go. Zara raises her voice for the first time. That's when Brad loses complete control. His hand flies across her face with a sharp crack that echoes through the store like a gunshot. The slap freezes everyone in place. Zara's head snaps to the side, her cheek immediately reddening. The teenager streaming drops her phone in shock. A woman near the cosmetics counter screams. Zara slowly turns back to face Brad, her hand pressed to her stinging cheek. Her eyes burn with controlled fury, but her voice remains steady. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. You were resisting store security, Brad shouts, trying to justify his actions to the horrified crowd. She was being aggressive and non-compliant. Phones throughout the crowd capture everything. Notifications start buzzing as videos upload to social media. #LuxAssault begins trending within minutes. That's assault, yells a man in an expensive suit. Someone call the police. She was stealing. Brad insists, but his voice wavers. I was protecting store merchandise. An older black woman pushes through the crowd. Child, are you okay? She reaches toward Zara protectively. I'm fine, Zara says, though her voice shakes slightly. She looks directly at Brad. But he's not going to be. Marcus finally speaks up. Mr. Mitchell, we need to call the police ourselves. This has gone too far. But Brad's not finished. His career is imploding in real time, and he chooses to keep digging. I don't care who calls who. I know what I saw, and I did my job. The crowd's reaction tells a different story entirely. Zara reaches into her purse with deliberate calm. The crowd watches her every movement, phone still recording from multiple angles. Brad stands frozen, his hand still tingling from the slap, sweat beading on his forehead. Since you demanded to see my credentials, Zara says, her voice cutting through the tense silence. Here they are. She pulls out a simple black leather card holder and extracts a business card. The motion is so controlled, so confident, that even Brad takes a step back. She extends the card toward him with steady fingers. Brad snatches it from her hand, expecting to see something fake or meaningless. His eyes scan the elegant text, and his face goes completely white. Zara Washington, Chief Executive Officer, Washington Capital Holdings. This is some kind of joke, Brad stammers, looking up from the card. Washington Capital Holdings? Never heard of it. Marcus, the security guard, moves closer to read over Brad's shoulder. His eyes widen in recognition. Mr. Mitchell, he whispers urgently. That's the parent company that owns us now. What? Brad's voice cracks like a teenager's. Zara takes a single step forward, her presence suddenly commanding the entire space. 3 weeks ago, Washington Capital Holdings completed the acquisition of Lux department store chain. All 47 locations. Every employee. Every policy. Every decision. The crowd murmurs in disbelief. Phones capture every word. The teenager who dropped her phone scrambles to pick it up and continue recording. The purchase went through 4 different shell companies, Zara continues, her voice growing stronger. Morrison Holdings bought the debt. Pacific Investment Group purchased the real estate. Sterling Associates acquired the inventory contracts. And finally, Washington Capital Holdings took ownership of operations. Brad stares at the business card like it might burst into flames. You're lying. Corporate would have told us about new ownership. Corporate doesn't know yet, Zara replies. The transition was designed to be quiet. I wanted to visit each location personally, assess the culture, see how employees treat customers when they think nobody important is watching. Marcus steps away from Brad like he's contagious. Ma'am, I am so sorry. I had no idea. You followed orders. Zara cuts him off gently. But your boss just assaulted the person who signs his paychecks. The weight of her words hits Brad like a physical blow. His knees actually buckle slightly. Around them, store employees who have gathered to watch the commotion gasp audibly. A sales associate from the cosmetics counter covers her mouth in horror. This can't be real, Brad says weakly. You're just some random person trying to cause trouble. Zara pulls out her phone and dials a number. Jennifer, it's Zara. Yes, I need you to conference in our legal team immediately. She pauses, looking directly at Brad. We have a situation at the flagship store that requires immediate attention. Brad tries to grab the phone from her hands. Stop this charade. But Marcus blocks him. Sir, don't make this worse. Zara continues her conversation. A store manager just physically assaulted me in front of dozens of witnesses. Everything is recorded. I need our attorneys here within the hour. She ends the call and addresses the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize that your shopping experience was disrupted by what you just witnessed. This behavior does not represent the values that Washington Capital Holdings stands for. An older woman in the crowd calls out, Honey, are you really the owner? I am. And what happened here today is exactly why I bought this company. To change it. Brad's phone starts buzzing frantically. Text messages pour in from corporate headquarters. Someone has already posted the videos online, and they're going viral fast. The hashtag #LuxAssault is trending on Twitter. TikTok videos are racking up hundreds of thousands of views. Mr. Mitchell, Marcus says quietly, I think you should call your union representative. My union rep? Brad's voice is barely a whisper now. Because you're about to need all the help you can get, Zara says matter-of-factly. Assault charges, civil rights violations, wrongful termination lawsuit possibilities. Your actions today didn't just hurt me. They created legal liability for my entire company. Store employees back away from Brad like he has a deadly disease. The cosmetics associate whispers to her colleague, he's finished. Career over. Customer phones continue recording as people process what they've witnessed. A businessman in an expensive suit shakes his head in disbelief. I can't believe he slapped the actual owner. The teenager streaming live to Instagram addresses her audience. Y'all, this manager just assaulted his own boss and doesn't even know it yet. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Zara turns to Marcus. Please escort Mr. Mitchell to the security office. The police will want to speak with him when they arrive. And pull all security footage from the past hour, every camera angle. Yes, ma'am. Marcus responds immediately. Brad finally realizes the magnitude of his situation. Wait, we can work this out. I was just doing my job. Protecting the store. I didn't know who you were. You didn't need to know who I was, Zara replies coldly. You needed to treat me like a human being. The crowd erupts in supportive murmurs and applause. Videos continue uploading to social media platforms, where millions of views accumulate by the minute. Share this video if you believe everyone deserves respect regardless of how they look. 20 minutes later, two police officers walk through the store's main entrance. Officer Rodriguez and Officer Thompson have already watched the viral videos on their way over. The footage leaves no room for interpretation. They witnessed a clear case of assault captured from multiple angles. Ma'am, we understand you were physically attacked. Officer Rodriguez approaches Zara, who sits calmly in the store manager's office, ice pack pressed to her still swollen cheek. Yes, Mr. Mitchell grabbed my wrist, then slapped me across the face in front of dozens of witnesses. Zara's voice remains steady and professional. I want to press full charges. Officer Thompson reviews the security footage on the store's monitors. This is textbook assault and battery. We'll need your statement for the report. In the security office, Brad sits with his head in his hands. His phone buzzes constantly with calls from his wife, his brother, his mortgage company. The videos have spread across every social platform. Local news stations are already preparing stories for the evening broadcast. Marcus escorts the officers to where Brad waits. Mr. Mitchell, you're under arrest for assault and battery. The handcuffs click shut around his wrists as Officer Rodriguez reads him his rights. This is insane, Brad mutters as they lead him away. I was protecting store property. From what? A woman shopping. Officer Thompson shakes his head. The district attorney will review your case Monday morning. Meanwhile, in Washington Capitol Holdings headquarters across town, emergency meetings explode across multiple conference rooms. Zara's legal team reviews employment law violations while her PR department manages the crisis response. Jennifer Walsh, Zara's chief of staff, coordinates 3 phone calls simultaneously. We need statements prepared for major news outlets. The story is already on CNN's homepage. Twitter engagement is through the roof. The company's employment law attorney, David Kim, reviews the incident report. This creates massive liability exposure. Discrimination based on race, unlawful detention, assault. We're looking at potential federal civil rights violations. Zara joins the emergency board meeting via video call from the store. Effective immediately, Brad Mitchell is suspended without pay pending full investigation. I want every policy reviewed, every training program evaluated, every management practice examined. Board member Patricia Hayes appears concerned on screen. Zara, the legal implications could be significant. Civil lawsuits, regulatory investigations, employee claims. Good, Zara responds firmly. This company needed a wake-up call. Today provided it. By evening, Brad sits in his suburban kitchen, staring at termination papers delivered by courier. His wife Lisa reads the documents with shaking hands. 22 years of retail management, gone, Brad says hollowly. The lawyer says criminal charges are just the beginning. She could sue me personally for everything we own. Lisa looks up from the papers. The house, our savings, all of it, plus attorney fees for both the criminal case and civil lawsuit. Brad's voice cracks. I've been calling everyone I know in retail. Nobody will even return my calls. Their teenage daughter Emma bursts through the front door, tears streaming down her face. Dad, everyone at school has seen the videos. My friends are asking if you're a racist. I don't know what to tell them. The family's world crumbles in real time as the consequences multiply. Brad's professional network abandons him. His LinkedIn profile floods with negative comments. Local news stations camp outside their house. Back at the store, Zara addresses the media in an impromptu press conference. Reporters pack the main floor where the incident occurred just hours earlier. What happened today represents everything wrong with retail culture, Zara begins. But instead of seeking revenge against one person, I choose to focus on systemic change. A reporter raises her hand. Will you pursue civil litigation against Mr. Mitchell? My legal team will handle appropriate responses to ensure accountability. But my energy goes toward transforming this company into a model of inclusive business practices. Another journalist asks, what changes will you implement? Comprehensive bias training for all employees. Zero-tolerance policies for discrimination. Independent oversight committees. Cultural transformation starts immediately. The press conference streams live across social media platforms. Comments pour in supporting Zara's approach to justice through systemic change rather than personal destruction. That night, Zara reviews the day's events from her penthouse office. The videos have generated 50 million views across platforms. News coverage spans internationally. Her assistant brings updates every few minutes. Brad Mitchell's mugshot is trending on Twitter, Jennifer reports. Local news wants exclusive interviews. The mayor's office called offering support for anti-discrimination initiatives. Zara stares out her floor-to-ceiling windows at the city below. Schedule meetings with our HR leadership. I want comprehensive policy changes implemented within 30 days. What about Mitchell's legal situation? Justice will take its course through proper channels. Our focus stays on building something better. The consequences extend far beyond one man's career. An entire industry watches as accountability meets transformation. 30 days after the incident, Zara stands in the same store where Brad Mitchell slapped her. But everything has changed. New training materials cover employee break room walls. Fresh policy handbooks sit on every manager's desk. The transformation begins with concrete action. All 47 stores will implement these changes simultaneously, Zara announces to the assembled management team. No exceptions, no delays, no excuses. The new anti-discrimination policy spans 15 pages of clear, specific guidelines. Racial profiling gets defined in precise terms. Customer interaction protocols protect shoppers from harassment. Managers must document their reasoning for any security interventions. Every single employee, from part-time sales associates to district managers, completes 40 hours of mandatory bias training. External consultants lead workshops on unconscious prejudice, cultural sensitivity, and inclusive customer service. We're not just teaching people what not to do, explains Dr. Maria Santos, the diversity consultant Zara hired. We're showing them how treating everyone with respect actually increases sales and customer loyalty. The Independent Oversight Committee includes community leaders, civil rights advocates, and former retail employees. They review complaints, audit store practices, and report directly to Zara quarterly. Marcus, the security guard who witnessed the assault, becomes the pilot store's new customer relations coordinator. My job now is helping people feel welcome, not watching them with suspicion, he explains to trailers. The zero-tolerance policy creates immediate consequences for discriminatory behavior. 3 managers across different stores lose their jobs within the first month for treating customers unfairly. The message spreads quickly through the company. Other retail chains take notice. Target announces enhanced sensitivity training for all stores. Nordstrom creates similar oversight committees. Macy's revises their security protocols after reviewing Zara's model. The National Retail Federation invites Zara to speak at their annual conference. Her presentation, titled Inclusive Business Practices Drive Profit, gets standing ovations from 3,000 industry leaders. When customers feel respected and valued, they spend more money and return more often, Zara tells the audience. Discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's terrible business strategy. Legal experts study the case for precedent-setting potential. Employment law professors assign it as required reading. Civil rights organizations point to Washington Capitol holdings as proof that corporate accountability can drive social change. 6 months later, customer satisfaction scores across all Lux department store locations increase by 40%. Sales revenue jumps 25%. Employee turnover drops to the lowest levels in company history. People want to work for companies that align with their values, Zara explains during a television interview. And customers want to shop where they're treated with dignity. The retail industry watches closely as other companies adopt similar reforms. What started as one man's terrible decision becomes a catalyst for widespread cultural transformation. Brad Mitchell's assault created a moment of crisis. But Zara Washington's response created lasting change that extends far beyond any single store or individual consequence. 6 months later, Brad Mitchell volunteers at a community center in downtown Detroit, teaching job skills to unemployed workers. His 200 hours of court-ordered community service opened his eyes to realities he never understood. "I spent my whole career making assumptions about people based on how they looked," Brad admits to his counselor. "It took losing everything to realize how wrong I was." The bias training program he completed changed his perspective completely. He now recognizes the unconscious prejudices that drove his actions. His family slowly rebuilds their relationships as he demonstrates genuine growth. Meanwhile, Zara's company sets the standard for inclusive retail practices. Employee satisfaction reaches record highs. Customer complaints about discrimination drop to nearly zero. Other businesses study their model for implementation. The lessons extend far beyond retail. Every person deserves respect regardless of their appearance, clothing, or perceived status. Discrimination costs businesses millions in lost revenue, legal fees, and damaged reputations. True accountability creates lasting change when people commit to growth. Most importantly, standing up against injustice, even when it's difficult, protects future victims and transforms entire systems. What lesson from this story will you carry forward? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of resilience and justice.